My name is Bethany, and at 27 I thought I understood my family. Until my sister's birthday shattered everything I believed. Growing up, my older sister always had the finest designer outfits, luxury trips, and endless admiration. Meanwhile, I hustled as a freelance marketer in Tulsa, building my own path piece by piece. But nothing prepared me for that day. My parents hosted an extravagant birthday bash for her, unveiling a shiny $95,000 Tesla. The guests cheered as she slid into the driver's seat, smiling like she'd conquered the world. Then came my turn. My parents handed me a small gift. I unwrapped it, expecting something thoughtful, maybe a gesture of appreciation. Instead, it was a mortgage bill, $4.60,000. "It's your responsibility now," my mom said sharply, as if I were their financial solution. My dad just shrugged like it was no big deal. My sister smirked, flicking her hair. "Relax. It's just money." My stomach dropped. That paper wasn't a gift. It was proof that I'd always been invisible to them. My hands trembled as I held it, fury burning inside. How do you stay loyal to a family that buys a car for one child in debt for another? That expects you to clean up their messes while they celebrate someone else? Stick around, I'll tell you how I took back my life and what they lost in the process. If your family's ever made you feel unseen, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear I die in our Tulsa suburb. My sister Chelsea always took the spotlight. As kids, she got the sparkly dresses, Disney vacations, and all the attention. I was the quiet one, piecing together my own direction. By my mid-20s, I'd built a modest life as a freelance marketer, living off gigs and saving $30,000. Chelsea, on the other hand, burned through money on designer purses and weekend trips, never keeping a job for long. I didn't mind until her birthday flipped everything upside down. The celebration was at our parents' house, filled with balloons, food, and guests. My dad, Robert, stood proudly at the table. "This is for our star," he declared, handing Chelsea the keys to a brand new Tesla, its $95,000 shine blinding under the lights. The room erupted with applause as she posed, smiling smugly that I clapped politely, waiting for my moment. My parents always preached fairness, so I figured they had something for me too, some recognition. Then my mom, Pamela, pushed a plain envelope across the table. "This is for you," she said without meeting my eyes. I opened it quickly, my heart racing. Inside was a mortgage statement, $60,000. Their debt. Their house. My problem. "You can handle it," Pamela said flatly, like she was assigning me chores. Robert didn't even glance up from his phone. My hands clenched around the paper. This wasn't a present, it was a burden dropped on me like I was their backup plan. Chelsea looked over and laughed. "It's just money, Bethany," she said, smug as ever. Her words stung. Just money. I'd spent years working nights, saving every dime, while she blew cash like it was endless. I wanted to scream, to throw the envelope back at them, but I stayed silent. Around me, people chatted and took pictures, no one noticing the humiliation burning in my chest. I smiled through it, but inside something broke. That night, alone in my childhood bedroom, I replayed every second. My mom's cold tone, my dad's indifference, Chelsea's smirk. They'd always relied on me, but this time was different. This wasn't about responsibility, it was betrayal. They'd handed her luxury and handed me debt. I paced the room, thinking of what to say, how to confront them. But what was the point? They'd shown their true priorities. As I stuffed my laptop into my bag, a decision formed. I wouldn't just leave. I'd start over. By midnight, I'd packed my things. Chelsea's birthday still echoed in my head, but I couldn't stay where I was treated like a fix, not family. With $30,000 in savings, I found a small downtown studio in Tulsa. Creaky floors, peeling paint, but it was mine. I signed the lease, wired the deposit, and watched my balance drop. It hurt, but freedom was worth the cost. I didn't tell anyone. I loaded my car with my suitcase, laptop, and books and drove off. When my mom's name flashed on my phone, I stared for a second, then blocked her. My dad's number followed. I couldn't listen to excuses after they dumped a $60,000 debt on me like it was nothing. Chelsea's smug face crossed my mind, but I brushed it away. I needed to focus, to rebuild. Not long after, a new marketing gig landed in my inbox, a startup needing branding work. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid well, and I poured my heart into it. Long nights, endless revisions, but it kept me grounded. Proof I could stand on my own. A week later, a letter arrived, forwarded from my parents' address. My mom's handwriting sprawled across it. To our family's backbone. I laughed bitterly, tearing it apart without reading the rest. Backbone, what a joke. They'd never treated me like part of the spine, just the support beam. As the shreds hit the trash, I felt lighter. I didn't owe them anything anymore. Days passed. No calls, no texts. Their silence was loud, but peaceful. At a downtown coffee shop, I met a colleague, Isaac, to hand off a project. He was my age, smart kind, always cutting through corporate nonsense. Over lattes, he said, "You seem lighter. Like you let go of something heavy." I shrugged, not ready to tell him everything. He smiled. "You're tougher than you think, Bethany. Most people wouldn't start over like that." His words stayed with me. For the first time in weeks, I felt seen, not as someone holding a family together, but as someone rebuilding her own. The startup gig ended with a bonus and a new referral. My savings began to recover, my sleep returned, and that birthday nightmare started to fade. But some nights the question still crept in. Did they ever see me as their daughter, or just their safety net? Chelsea's laughter haunted me, her careless words cutting deeper than that envelope ever did. My parents' silence was worse. Still, I kept going. Tulsa's skyline outside my window reminded me that new beginnings were possible. I knew walking away wouldn't erase the past, but every campaign I finished, every client I landed, was proof I didn't need them anymore. Isaac's words echoed often. I was stronger than I realized. 3 weeks later, that strength was tested again. One morning, as I sipped coffee and checked my bank app, I froze. My balance $10,000, $20,000 gone. My heart raced as I scrolled through transactions until I found it. A withdrawal dated the day of Chelsea's birthday. It wasn't a glitch. It was theft. I called the bank, my voice steady even as panic rose. The rep confirmed it. The transfer was authorized by my mother, Pamela. She'd used her access from years ago when we'd set up a joint account. The joint account was supposed to be for emergencies. Instead, that money ended up at a car dealership. A down payment for Chelsea's Tesla. I hung up, my stomach twisting. My own mother had stolen from me to buy my sister a car. The betrayal cut deeper than the $60,000 mortgage bill they'd pushed on me. That debt was theirs. This money was mine. Earned through sleepless nights and hard work. I slammed out an email to my dad, Robert, attaching the bank statement. "How could you let this happen?" I demanded, my hands shaking over the keyboard. His reply came hours later, cold and clipped. It was for the family's image. "You're doing fine, aren't you?" I stared at those words, my chest tightening. The family's image. They'd sacrificed my savings for Chelsea's reputation. I wanted to drive to their house to scream at them face to face, but I knew it wouldn't matter. They'd already chosen their narrative. The next day, Isaac caught me at my desk, my expression hard as stone. "You okay?" he asked, sliding a coffee toward me. I hesitated, then spilled everything: the stolen money, the Tesla, my dad's message. His jaw clenched. "That's beyond messed up," he said. "You should confront them." I shook my head slowly. "What's the point? They'll twist it until I'm the villain again." Isaac leaned forward, his tone steady. "Then don't let them define you. Keep building what's yours." His words sank in. He was right. Facing them would just reopen wounds. I needed to protect what was left of me, so I buried myself in work. A new client, a Tulsa restaurant chain, needed a complete rebrand. I threw everything into it: designs, ad copy, strategy. The long nights blurred together, but each dollar earned felt like one more brick in the wall separating me from my family. I wasn't just working, I was reclaiming myself. Still, the anger lingered, burning quietly whenever I pictured Chelsea behind the wheel of that car, paid for with my stolen savings. I started digging into legal options, researching ways to get my money back. I combed through forums, read banking laws, even called a lawyer friend from college. Her answer was blunt. "You could sue, but it's a nightmare. Joint accounts are tricky. You'll spend more than you'll recover." I thanked her, my heart sinking. What my mother had done was wrong but technically legal. My savings, my future were gone, and they'd never face consequences. I stared at the wall, numb. That money had been for my dreams, my safety net, my next chapter. Now it was just gone. A few days later, Isaac stopped by again, glancing at my screen. "You're killing it with this campaign," he said with a smile. "Don't let them steal that from you too." I managed a weak laugh. His encouragement grounded me. My family had already taken enough, my money, my trust, my place. They weren't taking my future too. The restaurant campaign launched flawlessly, earning praise and a steady paycheck. Tulsa suddenly felt smaller, conquerable even. I wasn't done hurting, but I was done waiting for their approval. Then one rainy evening, Lindsay showed up at my door. My best friend. I hadn't seen her since I'd left home. She stood there soaked, clutching a paper bag that smelled like takeout. "We need to talk," she said softly as I let her in, my chest tight. We sat on my worn-out couch as she unpacked the food. "Your family's worried," she began carefully. "They want you to come back." I took a breath, my voice flat. "They're not worried, Linz. They're just mad I stopped fixing their problems." I told her everything, the $20,000 my mom had taken, the Tesla, my dad's email brushing it off. Lindsay froze, chopsticks halfway to her mouth. "They did what?" she whispered, her face pale. That I laid it all out. The joint account, the dealership payment, the family image excuse. She shook her head, stunned. "That's not right," she said finally, voice trembling. Then she added, "Your dad's struggling. He quit his job. They're in a rough spot." I clenched my jaw. "They chose this," I said coldly. "They chose Chelsea's car over me. They don't get to pull me back now." Lindsay sighed, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. I wasn't mad at her, just done being pitted. She meant well, but I wasn't ready to reopen wounds. "I'm not their ATM," I said, pacing. "I've spent years being their backup plan. I'm done." Lindsay nodded slowly, her eyes heavy. She didn't argue. She just listened as I poured everything out, the betrayal, the favoritism, the years of invisibility. When she gently suggested I call them, I shook my head. No. They crossed a line. There's no going back. I changed the subject, forcing a small smile. "I'm working on something new," I said. "A marketing company, my own." Isaac helped me come up with the idea. Her eyes lit up. "That's amazing," she said. "You've always had that drive." I told her my plan, starting small local clients, maybe bringing on a partner. Isaac's advice to focus on niche markets had inspired me, and I was already sketching out the structure. For the first time in weeks, hope flickered again. Before leaving, Lindsay handed me an envelope. "Your mom wanted you to have this," she said hesitantly. I recognized Pamela's handwriting instantly, same as the last letter I'd shredded. Without a word, I dropped it straight into the trash. Lindsay didn't scold me. She just hugged me tight before stepping back into the rain. That letter was their last chance, and I'd made my choice. I wasn't their fixer anymore. I was building my own life. A month later, my phone buzzed nonstop. I was finishing a pitch when a friend messaged me. "What's going on with you and Chelsea?" Confused, I opened social media and froze. Chelsea had posted a long rant accusing me of being selfish, of abandoning the family. She painted herself as the victim, claiming I'd turned my back when they needed me most. The post was blowing up, hundreds of likes, comments, shares. Old friends piling on, calling me ungrateful and heartless. My chest tightened. It wasn't just a post, it was character assassination. I wanted to reply, to tell them the truth about the stolen $20,000 and the dumped $60,000 debt. But I stopped myself. Explaining would just drag me back into their chaos. Then an email from my mom appeared. Her words were venomous. She admitted they'd sold Chelsea's Tesla to pay part of their debts. "If you hadn't left, we wouldn't be in this mess," she wrote. I slammed my laptop shut. They'd taken my savings, ruined my name, and still blamed me. I called Chelsea, voice trembling. "Take the post down," I demanded. She laughed, cold and smug. "You're just jealous," she sneered. "You've always wanted what I have." I hung up before I said something I'd regret. There was no point. Chelsea would never see the truth. That night, my dad texted, "We're losing the house. The mortgage is too high. We need you." I stared at the screen, my throat tight. The old me would have rushed to help. But not anymore. They'd made their choices. I wasn't their safety net. The next morning, I threw myself into work. A Tulsa hotel chain offered me a six-figure contract, my biggest yet. I nailed the presentation, signed the deal, and walked out of that room lighter than I'd ever felt. Their chaos couldn't touch me anymore. BY spring, My marketing firm was thriving. Isaac's strategic advice helped me land new clients, a tech startup, a retail brand, a steady stream of business. Every paycheck rebuilt what they'd taken. My bank account was healthy again that I upgraded to a modern downtown apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, open space, sunlight spilling in. Minimal furniture, maximum peace. For the first time in my life I felt free. When Lindsay called months later, her tone was quiet. "Your parents lost the house," she said. "Chelsea moved out of state." I leaned against the counter, processing. "They made their bed," I said simply. That night, a voicemail came from an unknown number, my mom's voice breaking through tears. "We need you, Bethany. Everything's falling apart." I deleted it, then blocked the number. They'd taken everything once. They weren't getting another chance. A week later, Isaac threw a small celebration downtown. Drinks, music, laughter. "To the woman who doesn't quit," he toasted, eyes meeting mine. The room erupted in cheers. For the first time in years I felt seen. Not as someone fixing others, but as someone who built something real. 6 months later, I stood in my new office, overlooking Tulsa's skyline. My firm had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. A solid client list, a small team, steady profits. The stolen $20,000 was long replaced, but the lesson remained. Never let anyone make you feel small for choosing yourself. When someone mentioned my parents renting a tiny apartment on the edge of town, and Chelsea barely scraping by, I just nodded. No anger. No pity. Just closure. They'd written their story. I'd rewritten mine. You don't owe your success to those who never saw your worth. My family took my trust, my time, my money. But they couldn't take my will to rise. I built this life from the ground up. And that wasn't selfish. It was survival. To anyone listening, remember, your worth isn't defined by those who broke you. Walk away. Rebuild. Thrive. Just like I did. As I looked out at Tulsa's skyline, glowing bright against the night, I knew one thing for sure. My past didn't own me anymore. My future was mine alone.